Okay, folks, it is Mrs. Johnson once again with the Agro Wisdom Channel. We are still talking about Excel, but we are talking specifically about Excel functions today, and how they work. This is the same example that I showed you in my last Excel video. It just got a few more rows added. And I took some of the informational rows out, like this one. We're not going to need this one today, so we can delete. And I do that by clicking the top and then right clicking, and it'll give me all these handy dandy little options specifically for that row, or the stuff that I highlight when I right click. But let's talk about how to put functions into Excel. So I have a bunch of information, and I eliminated a lot of the extra stuff that we don't need or that we're not going to mess around and play with today, because Excel can be really overwhelming when you have lots and lots of data when you're first starting. So we'll just kind of omit some of the information as we're going. Great. Let's say, because I have to do this math anyway, it's important math, right? So I've got some seeds from work that I have. I acquired them for free because I work at a hardware store, and we just sent our seeds back. And I'm planning for this upcoming spring. And so what I did is I essentially wrote down all the information that I could off the seed packets, and then how many packs I had. And then the pack weight. I Googled the seeds per gram for everything, so it's generic, not super, super precise. And I did that so I could figure out how many total plants I could really plant if I really wanted to plant things. We're gonna delete that really fast. Right, total plants. And we do that, right? And if I double click on that, you'll see it says J2 times K2. And how do I enter that? That's a function in Excel. So I could go through and manually calculate all of these. Or when you hit equals in Excel in a cell, it automatically assumes that you're going to type something in that it should calculate like a calculator. So every single one of these cells can work like a calculator on its own. Right. So I can hit equals, and I just click the cell that I want, or I can type it in. I usually just click the cell because it's easier for me, and then I can asterisk because that's how Excel reads multiplication, and then I can click or type in the cell that I want to multiply my pack weight by, to get the total hypothetical plants, total amount of seeds that I have. Total seeds. I'll change that. Total seeds, right? And so now that I have gone through this one, up here, it'll also say the same thing. There's a function, it'll say up here in this top row if there's a function in there. If not, it'll just say the data that you've entered. So I have two going, and I can highlight those two, and you're going to see this little quick analysis button. You could click it, but I never click it. Now I'm going to go to this little arrow or this little corner where that little box is, and it's going to give me that plus sign. And I'm going to click and drag wherever I want that function to go. And I want that function to calculate all the things that I'm planting next year. So then I have that information. I have the amount of seeds that I need. That's important because obviously I got the seeds so I could plant things, and I want to know if I have enough seeds to plant things, right? And this column here, I just threw in some numbers, some really rough guesstimates, because I haven't quite figured out where I want to plant things yet and stuff, because it's October, and I probably won't start planting things until at earliest March, because I live in a place where it snows, and there's sometimes still March, or sometimes in March there's still snow on the ground. So it's kind of in the air right now, but I'll take you through it. Right, so this one is also a function. If I double click it, it tells you what the function is. Now, Excel can do more than just math functions. It can also do kind of advanced math functions like you see here. So we're going to copy that really fast. This is actually a format for a specific type of function in Excel. It's an if function. But what this is saying, enough seeds, right? So I'm comparing M2, which is the desired amount of plants that I want, to the total amount of seeds that I have. And so I can either type it in, right? So M3 is less than or equal to L3. So is my desired amount of plants less than or equal to the total amount of seeds that I have? I can hit enter, and it's going to tell me whether or not that's true. And then I can go through and sort by that and figure out how many, because I showed you all how to sort last time, right? I can see how many I want to, how many seed packets I still need to buy, or what seed packets I don't have enough of, right? And then can click and drag space per square, or space in inches per plant. This one, click, right? Row spacing, plant spacing. We talked about that in some of my videos. Square footage. I can click and drag that, right? Space in feet. Now, this is the thing that I talked about in my fractions to decimals to percentages video on where this would come in handy, knowing, because as you see, a lot of these space in inches per plant, like spinach, for example, only needs 8 inches, but oftentimes we plant in square feet or square acres. And so we can convert that, right, by doing inches divide by 12. Inches that we have divide by 12, which converts it over 2 feet. And we can drag that, right? Square footage required, right? Same thing. We're going to take our desired amount of plants. So how many plants do we want? How much space do they need? And we're going to actually square footage per plant. Oh, I messed up. I messed up. Look. So square footage required. I'm talking about square feet. But I did plants, number of plants by number of inches, which is not what we want. We're talking about square footage. This is my footage number, right? Which is definitely different than the 400 that they just gave me, that I typed in before I started this video. Right, so 33.333, right? That's a third of a foot. Ta-da, right? 33.333, right? I could go back and convert these like 0.3s, 0.6s over to inches if I really wanted to, but I don't really want to right now. So we're not going to do that. What I am going to do, actually, is some of these decimals are way too long, and some of them are way too short, right? And typically we try and keep our decimals even, which is what these little buttons do quite nicely. The increased decimal, if I hit that, right, everything goes to like that super, super long number. When I'm planting in square feet, I don't really need to know, right? I just need to know down to like the inch or so, really. And so going to the hundredths place is more than acceptable. Um, Sometimes you can even get away with the tenths, but I like going to the hundredths place because that makes percentages really even, because everything's in percentages anyway. Um, right, so 50% of a foot, 33% of a foot, 67% of a foot. Um, and that, at least for me, makes it a little nicer. But you could totally um, change things. So that is how you type in functions. You can also, I showed you this auto sum button last time, right? If I wanted to know how many total square footage I needed, I could totally like enter. And this is the crazy thing. I could like enter and then add all these together. I could type them in. Or I could auto sum and I could just do sum. And then I could highlight the stuff that I wanted. And then it'll give me the total square feet that I need for all the plants that I need. Which is super convenient. Um, because then I haven't done the math on my map yet to figure out how many square feet that I have. Um, but I could, each little square is a foot. And this is nice because I can actually map things really nice, like I mentioned in some of my other videos. Um, Excel is a funky little thing. Um, but yeah, this is actually my garden space. I will introduce you to that in the next video. Um, but yeah, you could do all sorts of crazy things in Excel with that auto sum button. You could like average numbers, right? The average square footage, which is the median, uh, is 62 feet per plant or 62 feet per crop. I could come in here and I could do more functions and I could like standard deviation, which is it's doing funny things, right? I could come in here and I could auto sum more functions, standard deviation, right? It could do all sorts of crazy, crazy things for me, which is like super cool. And once you start knowing the functions that you need to use in Excel, it makes life really nice because then I don't have to calculate this. I can just label it and say sums, right? And averages. Yeah, all sorts of things. But yeah. Um, yeah, that's how we use Excel and functions specifically for garden stuff. Um, and without further ado, I'm gonna let you go so I can apparently stop interrupting the maintenance guys from doing their job. And probably go to bed soon, but we'll see. Okay. Have a great day. I hope you learned something, and we will do lovely, wonderful things later.